Hey everyone, welcome to Brave Souls. Tonight my guest is Amanda Medina from This Adopted Life. I cannot wait for her to come on and share her adoption story with all of us. So Amanda, once you're ready, request to join in and we will get started shortly. Hi Keith, welcome. Hi Raya, welcome. We are just waiting for Amanda to join in. Keith, Raya, how you doing tonight? How was your day? Hi Ingrid. Hi Stephanie. Hi. Okay. Hi Spirit, welcome. Okay, we're gonna go live with Amanda any second now. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. Hi. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. Very good.
Nice.
How was your day?
Good for the most part. We're having some cloud and drizzles, which isn't common for San Diego. So we're all like, oh, we can't
Oh
hear.
no.
Um,
Hi Yana, welcome. Word to the mom. Hello, welcome.
how are you? How's your day?
It was good. It was really long, but it was okay. It wasn't like a bad day. It was just a long day.
Yeah.
Got home from work late and had to pick up food for my parents, and Chick-fil-A line is like wrapped around. But thankfully, I order ahead.
Mm,
But it was a long day.
yeah.
But I'm happy to be here with you and everyone. One
Like
table at a time. Hello. One table
everyone.
tea at a time. I'm just gonna wait just like a
Yeah.
minute for more people to join on.
It's weird. I didn't see you go live first. I had to kind of go into your profile or like your account.
Oh,
Yeah, so
weird. I
I
hope
guess
that's not why some people aren't able to join before.
maybe just a little lag. I don't know. Hopefully
Maybe.
more people will come in.
Yeah, it's so nice to see both lovely, beautiful ladies. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
thank
glad you're here.
you, Ayana.
So, other than the rain, is it going to get better tomorrow, the weather?
We're gonna get a lot of wind here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of wind over here too.
Where are you again? I'm sorry.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I was like, whenever it's like super windy, I pretty much blow down the street.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
know all about, I mean, I was in New Jersey for many years. So I know
yeah.
about the winters. And then before, I mean, I grew up in Sweden, which
They
will
get cold. They get cold. Knock on wood, they haven't been super, super cold yet. At
nice.
least for me. Um, I guess we can get started.
True.
So I always whoever joins in late or aren't able to join at all, I always save the videos after so people can go anytime and watch it. So Amanda, thank you so much for being with me tonight. I'm super excited to talk with you, and you want to take the floor and just start telling us about your story and
Sure.
about you?
Sure. Thank you for reaching out and inviting me.
Of
I
course.
always love an opportunity to sort of share my story and experience. So I am Amanda. I run the blog and the accounts This Adoptee Life, where I share my story as an adoptee, as a transnational, transracial adoptee. I was born in Colombia, and the story that I've been given in my documents is that I was brought to a police station by an unknown woman. She claimed to have found me in the streets. Um, couldn't find my mother, so handed me over to the authorities. And from there, I was handed over to what's called the Family Welfare Institute, and they placed a my picture in the local newspaper, saying, this is an unknown baby, and if anybody knows her and wants to come claim her, they can. But nobody came.
I'm sorry.
That, yeah, well, I can circle back later because
Yeah.
there's a twist to that. But at the time, that was enough for them to claim that they had tried to locate family and that they had not been able to.
Mhm.
And so, with that, they were able to label me abandoned, and I was entered into the adoption program.
Okay.
Around the same time, I was estimated, like my age was estimated because, they didn't know.
Right.
My name was given to me at some point throughout this process as well. I don't know by whom, I don't know when. Um, but it became Amanda. And I was placed in a foster home for a few months, where it says that I flourished and caught up developmentally and physically and did really well because, and I'm quoting the papers, this was a stable emotional environment for me.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, but then
Yeah.
from there, I was matched for adoption. Um, and so I was adopted by a Swedish couple. Um,
Wow.
And around the age of 2, in December of '85,
Nice.
they flew to they flew to Colombia. They
Hmm.
picked me up, brought me to Sweden, and that's where I grew up.
Wow. That's
And so
amazing.
that's sort of the adoption story. And then what I said about the twist there was that this could be true, this could be a false story. I don't know.
It's just the only story you know.
It is the only story I have, and I always tell it saying, the story I was given, or the story
Right.
according to my papers, because I can't attach any sort of truth to it. Now, if that is my real story, then obviously that entails a lot of trauma,
Of
a lot
course.
of separation, a lot of,
Well, I mean, I mean, either way, it's still trauma and separation, but
absolutely,
yeah, it'd be more traumatic.
yeah. And
Yeah,
just not knowing
of course.
can be a,
That's the hardest part is just not knowing. I go off based of what I was told.
yeah,
So I mean, there could be a lot of different other versions of it too, but I just go by what I was told, and that's my truth until I know otherwise. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, growing up, I never even wanted to know my story. I was one of those adoptees who I'm totally fine. Like,
Oh yeah,
often
me,
hasn't affected me
me.
at all. You know what? I'm kind of the success story of an adoption if you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
that was me growing up, and
Oh,
then
same, same. I thought
yeah,
like, oh, I'm in a great family. I'm blessed. I'm living a dream, and no, I was living a nightmare. It was not a dream.
yeah. I mean, I always felt off. Like in my gut, it felt off to use the word grateful.
Hmm.
Um, but definitely all the other stuff were like, you know, no, I'm not gonna search for family. Like I have a family, and
Hmm.
I'll go to Colombia one day just to kind of get a sense for the culture and the people. But
Right.
I didn't consider, so in my mind, my biological mother, or my first mother, was more a concept than a person. I hadn't, connected at all to that. And even the
Hmm.
first time I read my adoption papers, I was very, disconnected from the story. Like I didn't, it took
Yeah.
me a lot of processing to sort of be able to understand that,
Right.
this was about me, or this is the baby that they're talking about is me, regardless of it being true or not.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
So, I'm assuming did you know growing up you were adopted? Were you told at like a specific age?
I always knew.
You always knew. Okay.
I mean, my parents couldn't have hid it. They're white Swedish. I'm
Right. Right.
Latina. Although,
But
growing
I've
up,
heard stories where some parents haven't. They just never, and then until like the child gets to a certain age and wonder like, why
yeah,
am I, this shade and you're this shade and all
yeah,
that. And it's
yeah. No, I always knew. I don't know how that was incorporated. I don't know. but it was just always a fact. I mean, I think my adopted parents were never ashamed of having adopted. On the contrary, they were very proud, and um, so which that has
Did
its
they
own.
did they give you like a safe place to talk about it and ask questions? No.
Well, I mean, on the surface, sure, they were very supportive in terms of like, um, do you want to see your adoption papers? No, I don't. Well, they were all like, they never like held my story away from me. They never hid it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I came out of the fog, as I started the process of unpacking and sort of coming to them with questions of why, how come, or even talking about trauma, like, um, especially with my adopted mother, it was a lot of sort of, well, I mean, you have to just reconcile with that. You have to sort of leave that in the past, and you know,
Just
what do you
basically get over it.
adopted you, and just like all those phrases, and at the time I was, maybe it's coming from I don't know what kind of place, but I've understood later on that I never really had a safe space emotionally to sort of rely and count on them. So, yeah.
No,
The adopted was very open in that sense that like, yes, you're adopted. What do you want to talk about? But
but
then when
emotionally it wasn't open. Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
That's me. That's completely my
Yeah,
situation. So yeah.
yeah.
So
I think
you
a
oh,
lot of adoptees carry their emotions, or like we carry, and
sure.
with the inability to speak to our parents come, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame for wanting to talk about it, for wanting to ask, to feeling like we can't, which is it's
I
sad.
know. It is sad. It's so sad. One table tea at a time. I think my parents enjoyed the power of disarming and startling people when they showed up as my white parents. Wow.
Mm.
Ingrid, host on demand, said, "How was it for you to grow up in Sweden?"
So, again, growing up, I would have told you that I fit right in. I actually wrote a blog post, a guest post for How to Be Adopted a while back,
Mm-hmm.
called I Grew Up White, because I saw myself as an extension of my white friends, my blonde, blue-eyed friends. It was, that's what I saw around me. So seeing myself in the mirror, a lot of times sort of caused confusion, where I would stare into these dark eyes, and but still not realize like I am a person of color. I am brown skin. I have
Mm-hmm.
very dark hair, but still, but I always had to hold back who I was, because I always felt like too much, too loud, too emotional, too intense. I mean, my adopted mother would even say when I got angry, like, "Yo, but you're very intense. You're so intense," and not as a
You're holding
compliment.
so much inside.
Yeah, but also just because I think when I came to the US, I came to New York, and I started connecting with making some Latina friends, and they're hard,
So extra.
emotions,
I
and
love it.
just like being all of themselves. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I felt like the quiet one. Now I felt like, oh my God, like I can actually bring more of myself out than I
Yeah.
ever could growing up, always feeling like having to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of be this like the Swedish people around me who tend to be more quiet and more reserved. You know. I mean, the Colombian culture and the Swedish culture, I would say they're probably like,
Oh, night and day.
yeah,
Yeah,
as far apart as you could possibly come.
absolutely.
So,
Aw.
there was a lot of confusion, but also, a lot of denial, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Welcome to the new people. Hello, hi Megan. Um, so do you have you obviously don't say any names on here, but do you have your birth mother's name, or do you know anything?
Nothing,
Birth father, nothing.
nothing.
The
I
hospital you were
have
born, anything?
oh, because again, it was my story starts where I get dropped off by an unknown woman. There's no police record mention. There's no name of this woman. For a long time, I thought maybe that was my first mother, who just felt she couldn't take care of me and didn't want to give her name. Um, yeah, there are a lot of ifs, what ifs, maybes, but I have nothing to sort of verify this story by. I mean, my own birth date isn't real. My name was given to me, I don't know when. And that I realized years later when I read, after learning Spanish and reading the caption on that photo in the newspaper where it says, um, a baby girl, name unknown, parents unknown. So it clicked for me and said, okay, so that my name wasn't even given to me probably by family, but by authorities. So nope. I've done DNA test
That was gonna be my next
because I
question.
think that's probably my only shot. I haven't dug in and like went like full search mode. I've connected with a few cousins, like second, third, or beyond, um, who are also fellow adoptees searching
Oh,
for their family. So at this
and they
point,
didn't have any information on you at
some of
all.
them might have had a little more, some of, not among the closest, I don't think they've found. Um,
Okay.
but you know, it's a time consuming task, and emotionally very tasking as well to dwell into that. And I just haven't, for now, I put my info and maybe one day something will pop up.
Yeah,
Who knows? For now, it's just I put my stuff out there and we'll see what happens.
exactly. So what do you do for your healing journey? What have you learned that maybe that helps you? Learn acceptance and self-love and ways to just, manage the trauma of it all.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing was so I started having anxiety a few years ago.
Mm,
I felt like it came out of nowhere. Um,
it does.
just one day out of nowhere, I told my husband, like, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling tingles in my finger. I'm feeling restless. I'm feeling like I need to punch something or I need to get out of here. Like, it was just a lot. And he said, that sounds like anxiety. I said, no, I'm not trying to hear that. Don't even say that. But, kept coming back and I had to just realize that that's probably what it was. And I started digging. I was like, where is this coming from? And I sort of went back and okay, I had the family dynamics weren't great when I grew up. And then it was like, okay, adoption. I went on Facebook, looked up a group for adoptees from Colombia, found one with 1,500 members. And that's when I started hearing about trauma,
Mm-hmm.
um, corruption within the industry of adoption, and like all those things that I had never heard of. I heard the stories of fellow adoptees who had falsified information in their paperwork. And I just really wanted, my first initial response was just to like shut the whole thing down. Like, I need to leave this group. This is just, I'm not trying to hear this.
Right.
Um, but the more I thought about it, like there's something to this. And I started sort of doing some research and understood that there's something here. And then I requested my paperwork and then I started telling my story. And that's where the blog was born.
Good for you.
Um, and that's when I found, this empowerment and just using my voice and sharing my story and sharing it with my own words eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I'm a work in progress. I went through a really tough time coming out of the fog, which I think is a process that has a start but no finish. Like once that door opens, like you're not going to cross a goal line. It's just now that's part of your life.
Yeah. I always
You're
say once you're in a
constantly,
healing journey, you're always going to be in that healing
yeah, and
journey.
even the coming out of the fog thing is like that's something that you're constantly like even now several years later there's still new insights, there's still
Oh
new
yeah.
layers that I need to work through. So, I think just informing myself, surrounding myself with fellow adoptees who get
Mm-hmm.
it. And in terms of
Community is everything.
yeah, oh, for sure. But also finding your tribe within the community because
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of adoptees. There's a lot of us, and we connect on the adoptee part. But then that may be the only
There's
thing you
different
connect
layers of it.
with certain people. So finding like your little group that truly you feel like you can be yourself with, and then on acceptance. I did a live a while back where I don't think that, at least for me, what brought me sort of healing and took a big weight off of my shoulders was not to say I need to accept what has happened. that to me, that was unacceptable. I can't reach a point where I feel like I forgive everybody that was involved.
Yeah.
I accept what happened. No, I don't. So I remove that pressure, and instead I say, I accept myself. I accept that I feel
Yes, girl, I
angry.
love that.
I accept that I feel heartbroken and crushed when I realize certain things. And I accept where I am and that I'm trying to do my best, but I allow myself to not accept certain things. And when I got to that point, I was like, oh, because I think
Like
we
a white light just came down on
put
you,
this
and
pressure on ourselves to,
yeah,
but I have to accept it. I have to forgive, or like you have to forgive that. No, no, you don't.
I know.
That's,
Yeah, I'm working on that as well with myself, my healing journey, and I'm taking different parts of it. And I thought once I got out of the fog into my healing journey, I thought when I figured something like how to manage, that was my healing journey. And then like things have been triggering me as I go along, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on my next step. And
yes,
every step I take gets harder and harder, but it's like a blessing in disguise with these triggers, because it hits you like really emotional, but then you come out of it so strong.
yeah,
And it's like making me do things that I'm not really that comfortable with, like sharing stuff recently that I've been really sharing more stuff. And like now I'm sharing like things I say to my birth mother, things I want to say to her. So I'm going to be doing more of that, but finally telling people how I feel growing up, how I felt growing up being adopted. And like my family, like they have no idea. And
yeah.
I just want to finally feel free. And that's my biggest thing, is when I feel free, I can breathe again. um,
Oh, I can relate, and I'm rooting for you. I'm here for
Thank you.
you,
I'm rooting for you
every
too.
step of the way. And it's so true what you say, because I used to feel like I was strong, independent, and all that.
Which
But
I'm sure you still are.
well, now more than
But
ever,
yeah,
because today I'm not just that, but I'm authentic because I've
yes.
been through what I went through coming out of the fog and having like really dark days where I felt like I'm stuck in this deep hole and I'm never going to get up, but I did. So
Mm-hmm.
today I can say, like, you know what, I went through that. So whatever you have to say to me, like, it won't face me. I know my truth and I speak it loud and clear. And it's not always easy, but it's like you said, I've learned to sort of push myself and learn that I can survive certain things that I would have never faced before, like telling
Oh,
my story or
mm-hmm.
pushing myself to do certain things.
Taking that power back that
Yeah,
you never had, and that's what I'm doing. I'm using my voice,
it's
and
good.
I'm confronting my demons, my adoption demons. I'm confronting it one person at a time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let me just make sure we didn't. I want to say hi to new people. Um, Hi Frankie, hi Megan. I think I said hi. Prince Matthew, hello. Above the Influence Club. Positivity, hello. Anastasia, hey girl. 100% hashtag heartbreak. Yep. And Antoine, is that how you say it? Hello. Skin Boutique Wax Studio, hello. Chris from Indiana Late Discovery, hello, welcome guys. Does anyone have any questions for Amanda? If so, drop it in the comments, and we'll
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'd love to answer for you.
That's
So in the meantime, talk about so the blog. You said, when did you start your blog with this adopted life?
so that was in, well, so I registered the blog 2018 spring. And then it took me a good probably 5, 6 months to put up the first post. There was a lot of still processing to just even. My big fear was not so much what people would say in terms of criticism, but it was actually, what if nobody reads it? What if nobody finds it relevant? Right? Like that would be the major rejection that I was scared of. Um, But I started it by just kind of putting up a blog post, and I don't even remember if I had the social media accounts by then. I think I just, and it kind of went up anonymously at first with no attention brought to
Mm-hmm.
it. And then little by little, I just kind of grew it. I started the social media. And then early on, I realized I felt so empowered, like I said before, in telling my story and being the one sharing my story, that I started inviting fellow adoptees to share their story as well. And so I create that space where you as an adoptee, it doesn't matter if you've written a book or two or three, or if this is the first time ever you tell your story, you can do it with your name, you can do it anonymously. I always say, however you feel that you're ready to tell your story, that's how it will go up on the blog. And so there's a few stories up, people telling about their struggles. There's some of them are really heartbreaking. And some of them are a little more, uplifting.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's each person telling their own truth in their own voice. So that's.
I love that. I love just seeing all these platforms where adoptees can speak up and just, feel like they're not alone. They have such a community around them. And just, I was watching the Facebook Live actually with Host on Demand with Ingrid, and Spirit was a guest, and my friend Bethany was a guest on here the other night. And I've never watched a live on Facebook before. But I was like, oh, you know what? It's an adoption. I want to go listen to it. I was blown away.
Mm-hmm.
It was just beautiful stories. I heard Bethany's story. I never heard Spirit's story. It was beautiful. And I would love to learn Ingrid's story. But I just love seeing everywhere I go, like people are doing like lives and, little videos. And I love it. Just the more people allow others to speak out, it's just, like you said, it's so uplifting.
Yeah.
And it's very empowering. Absolutely.
And the way we can collaborate and support one another, I think.
Yes.
Really.
And that's what I love too. People comment on each other's posts and they send messages, and it's just so nice to have that support system.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
people who truly understand.
Yeah, and there's room for all of us. Like, you might feel like, oh, but there's already so many adoptees out there telling their story. Like, why should I?
I am here to share.
The more people see that, it's not just one or two, it's hundreds, thousands, if not more.
Exactly. And I want to have as many adoptees as I can on here to keep sharing. So that's my goal. So we do have a question. Anastasia said, where were you adopted from and how old were you?
So I was adopted from Colombia, and I was about 2 years old.
And I do see a question in the comment. Okay. Yana said, do you want to dive more into DNA tests now? Do you feel an urge?
Yes and no. I think, like, I was talking to a fellow Colombian adoptee the other day who I know he's very good at digging through DNA. I think I wouldn't do it on my own. I'm not going to sit and write emails to potential family members feeling like a lost puppy and like begging for acceptance and belonging with people that I don't know, who are perfect strangers to me, other than just knowing that we match by DNA.
Right.
But if I had somebody who sort of took me under their wings and was like, hey, give me your results, let's see what we can do, I did it this way, I'll try to help you out, then chances are
just maybe
might be a little more open to it. And the biggest reason isn't so much for myself, it's more for my daughters. Because, and that was a big thing why I even started digging in all of it. And I soon realized that, if I don't find out what my story is, they don't know what half of their story is. And that
how many daughters do you have?
2.
Okay, so they know obviously you're adopted.
Yeah.
How did they react to that?
We don't talk that much about it, but it's definitely mentioned. I have, they know I talk with adoptees. They know they don't know maybe the details of it. I haven't really spoken that much to them yet, but I did have a conversation with my little one today. Well, she's 6 years old, but she's my little one, in the car, and we talked about countries and where we were born. And I said I was born in Colombia, not in Sweden. And she goes, oh yeah, that's right, you were born in Colombia, but you moved to Sweden. And I said, yeah, I was taken to Sweden. And she's like, what do you mean? She said, taken by who? I said, grandma and grandpa went to Colombia and picked me up and brought me to Sweden. And she's like, why? I said, well, they adopted me. To which my child replies, huh? Why did they have to adopt a baby? That makes no sense. You adopt pets. So you were like their pet? And then she thought that was silly. And I was like, you know what? We're not going to go into details, but I hear you. I mean, she says these things sometimes that are just like her logic is just on point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they don't know the full scope of adoption, or, but
Right. But
it's
I'm sure
sort of
as they
part
get
of our
older,
natural, like they know. I mean, again, I look one way, my mom looks very different. And
right.
I think maybe if we lived closer, I mean, they're still in Sweden, my parents, and I'm in the US, I'm in San Diego. So we don't see them often. And so it's not like so present in their lives. Um,
Okay.
Otherwise, they might have asked more about,
Right.
how come this, how come that. But yeah,
Yana said, I just started the test and it feels like a huge thing to undertake all by yourself.
yeah,
It does. I did the DNA test too.
yeah, I hear you.
And it's funny because, so funny little story, because I was born in Romania, I just assumed that I was 100% Romanian. And I
Mm,
said, but I was raised by Italians, so I just told everyone I'm Italian because it's too much to get into all that with people. So when I did the DNA test, I found out it was a plot twist. I was half Greek, took me really by surprise. And then the other half was like a mix of Eastern Europe. So like I was Romanian, but like I was
mhm.
Russian, Ukrainian, like anything in Eastern Europe, I name it and I'm it. But I
Yeah,
still held that 2% Italian, which I was really excited because so I could still tell people I'm Italian.
you can claim it.
Yeah. So, but that brought up a whole new set of questions for me when I found out I was half Greek. So I was
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
what?
I mean, I had
So,
the same thing happen where I was um, way more European than I
mm,
would have thought or maybe would like to admit. I can't remember the percentage, but I have a lot of Spaniard in me, and Central American, and not so much of South America as I would have liked to see.
mm,
But it's however people have mixed throughout the ages. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like, wait, I thought I was, I'm not 100% Colombian. What do you mean?
I know, and it raises more questions too.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Um, Hi, Riot, welcome. So, did one table tea at a time? Did you grow up in a city or countryside in Sweden, and what was it like for you culturally? That's a good question.
So I grew up in sort of the suburbs, um, close to one of the bigger cities. Now, Sweden is a small country compared to the US. So when I say bigger city, I mean the capital of Sweden. I mean, all of Sweden has about New York City, like the equivalents in terms of population. So, it was one of the bigger cities there.
Right.
I have always said if somebody would like to really, do something bad to me, they put me in the countryside, out in the middle of nowhere with no people around. I could not ever live like that. I need big city, I need people around, I need to be able to be anonymous, but also never be alone, which is why I love New York. When I first came to New York, I was like, this is it. This is my city.
Yeah.
And hearing a lot of Spanish, being around Latinos, even though I wasn't put on the spot, like I didn't feel like I needed to go to Colombia and be an outsider by not fitting in. So yeah, and culturally, again, I always feel like I carry a lot of Latina in me. I have a hot temper. I am loud. I feel everything to the fullest. If I cry, it's if I am angry, I need to like hit things and throw things out the window, which I don't, but that's how I feel. That's how
You want
it
to,
works.
yeah.
If I'm happy, you'll hear my laughter across the room.
You're very expressive.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
And that's not, it's okay. That's not a bad thing. It makes you, like you said, authentic. It's you.
it's who I am. But yeah,
Yeah.
culturally and growing up in a country where it's more reserved, more quiet, it was definitely always this little sense of not fitting in fully, not being able to be myself.
Yeah. And I think that's also with a lot of adoptees resonate too, is not
Yeah,
being able to fit in. And it's not just about culture, it's just within your own family
yeah,
dynamic, or just with other, family members or friends, or just, I
yeah.
felt very disconnected from my family, and, sometimes I
Mhm.
still do. And it's something I don't know if I can say I'm working on because I don't know how to work on that.
Yeah,
But
And I mean,
Um,
even disconnected to yourself at times
yeah.
if you
Oh
don't
yeah.
fully know your story, if you don't fully know what you've been through. It's like Anne Heffron says. This is a post from quite some time ago, but I remember reading where she says, take a book, rip out the first two chapters, get to reading, and see how much sense that story will make. And that's kind of the life of an adoptee, right? For many of us, it's like that
I
those two
like
first
that.
chapters, they're just like gone, locked away, and we don't have access to them. And then we're going to try to make sense of the rest of our story and of our life. So,
That's a good way. I like that.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the perfect way of explaining
Hmm.
it. Let me see. So, okay, they've been to Stockholm. I don't think they saw the suburbs. Okay, they grew up in the suburbs, hated, and have been urban ever since. Yeah.
Yeah.
Today is
Oh, she's saying onsdag. That's Wednesday in Swedish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Amanda as we're wrapping up? So I'll ask my questions. So if anyone has questions, but so I usually end with like two other questions, but I always make sure. Is there anything else that you want to share that we didn't talk about that you want to address?
No, I mean, I could just say that my DMs are always open right now, and I prioritize responding to adoptees. So never ever hesitate if you want to ask me something, if you don't feel comfortable asking it here, if you just want to chat, connect, I'm always up for it. Right now, I'm taking some time sort of off of social media, but I do come in and check my DM. I do come in and see if somebody wants to reach out. So I am always here for my fellow adoptees and reply as soon as I can.
Good, perfect. So I guess so I always end with two questions, as I said. So the first is, what advice would you give to adoptees, and then what advice would you give to adoptive parents?
Mhm. To adoptees, like I said before, especially if you're coming into the adoptee community, is to find your tribe within the community and to explore your story, try it out, telling it. For starters, tell it the way it's written in your papers. And then if you feel the need to use different words or angle it differently without changing the story per se, but you have every right to tell your story your way. And it can even change over time as your perspective and your understanding of your story changes.
Mm-hmm.
To adopted parents,
I like that, by the way. That's
yeah,
very
thank
nicely said.
you. And to adopted parents, I think my biggest thing is that be to be a trauma informed parent,
Mm-hmm.
to be somebody who is aware of the trauma of losing our first mothers, that adoptees have been through, and that will mean a different relationship between you and your adoptee child than between a biological child and their parents. And that's okay. There's no need to feel that you need to be the same. Um, So it's very important to understand the trauma so that you can hold space for your
Yeah,
adopted child when they need it.
I love that. Very nice. We do have one, Marzi. Do you know other Colombian adoptees? I know you mentioned
Do
one of your friends, your guy friends.
yeah, I do, and I there are a few groups on Facebook. I can point you in that. If you send me a DM, I feel like I recognize that name. I think we've spoken before. But do shoot me a DM, and I'll point you in the direction of the Facebook groups. Even just adopted from Colombia or is one a big one.
Well, thank you, thank you everyone for joining tonight. We love when you come on, and we love your support and your encouragement. Um, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on with me and sharing your story and your uplifting advice, and just being so open to talking and to to sharing with others, and for giving people a space to talk with you as well. So
It comes
we need more people like you too.
You
So
learn as you go. It comes over time. I didn't
yes,
start this open.
exactly.
So But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, everyone have a wonderful night. Amanda, have a wonderful evening, and we will talk soon.
yes, sounds
Okay.
great.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.